go. Hi everyone. Just waiting for the screen to start working. There we go. Hi. Really lovely to see you. I really hope you're well. I really hope that you're enjoying springtime and that you had a good long weekend if you were in the UK last weekend. Now just wait for a moment for people to connect and then we'll get started. Lovely. So, just quickly checking. Sometimes I get emails from people like, oh, I can't find the stream, how things happening. Which is absolutely fine. No questions, everyone. No emails. So let's get started. There we go. What time is it actually? Am I a little bit early? 2 minutes early. Then we'll just slowly get started and then I'll see people arrive when they get here. Welcome everyone. If you don't know me, my name is Irene. I'm an artist and illustrator based in the UK and I am sort of in between Cambridge and London. So I am often in London and I have an art studio in Cambridge where I spend quite a few days a week as well working on some larger paintings and working on some more personal work. And I also host art classes, I have an online community and I create lots of painting and drawing courses that people sign up to, and sometimes it's including live sessions on Zoom and sometimes it's all sort of pre-recorded, do them in your own time, online courses. So I do quite a lot of different things and I host these sketchbook sessions once a week on YouTube, and I really love doing these because it's a really sort of easy way for me to come together with everyone and do a bit of sketchbooking, have a bit of creative time and show you that you can do a bit of sketchbooking in just half an hour or an hour. It's usually something in between those times, and just have a bit of fun doodling and sketchbooking in a really loose and free way. So I am very much all about letting go of perfectionism, just embracing the journey and allowing yourself to make a little bit of a mess as well, because sometimes that makes a huge difference. Hi Emily and Carol, really lovely to see you. Thank you so much for joining in today. There we go. So my plan for today is sort of the same as what we did last week. I really enjoyed this and I wanted to do a few weeks of the same sort of materials and the same type of drawings. And a few weeks ago I bought this little sketchbook. You can see it has quite a lot of pages. And I have started using this sketchbook to create these really loose and colorful patterns. So some other drawings as well, but a lot of patterns, and I have really enjoyed making these. I accidentally marked this one. So we did these last week in the live session. Halfway I got cut off, so if you're watching it back, know that if it gets disconnected, I started a new stream so that it shows us 2 different videos. Yeah, so this one and those 2 I created in the live session last week, and I just want to carry that on because I find it a really fun and loose way of creating. And I can see that my camera is a bit wonky. So there we go, that's better. I don't like those lines being on the wonk. There we go, I'm just quickly checking if everyone is okay. I think so. So let's zoom in a little bit. So diving straight in there, and I prepared this piece of paper earlier. I just added a layer of green and I wanted to add some strawberries on top of that green because I really like the contrast between red and green. So I have a red pen here already, and the markers that I'm using, I think I used this color for the background. The markers that I'm using are acrylic paint markers, and why I like to use them is because they don't go through the paper. So if I have this page, for example, and see if I look on the other side, you cannot see those colors press through. If I use my alcohol markers or a lot of my other felt tips and other markers, they would go through the paper and mark the other side, and these type of markers don't do that. So it's a really nice way of filling. This is a really quite affordable, quite a cheap sketchbook with thin paper, but these markers still work really well in there. So that's one of the reasons I started to use this. And I decided to start with some strawberries. So if you want to grab some paper and pen, you can join in with any material that you like. I want to keep this quite low barrier. So work on your own project or sketch along with me. Both these are completely fine, or just watch. I know some people just like to watch and listen as well, which is also great. And I'm just going to sketch a few strawberries. So these are from Pinterest. I have not saved these to my boards. If I find other reference pictures, I will save them. But I decided to I might save a few strawberries to a drawing board at some point. But I was just looking at a few different shapes. So there we go. Just making sure. So if you have any questions at any point, feel free to ask away. I know that these are a little bit less of art classes compared to some of my other sessions on Zoom where there's sketch templates and we really go through the process together step by step. This is a bit more of a creative get-together, creative time sort of catch-up, which is a little bit different. But yeah, if you have any questions, please ask away whilst I start sketchbooking. So, I have been working on quite a few different things recently. I have created quite a large painting for an exhibition in London, which is in 2 weeks' time, which I'm really looking forward to. And I'm going to be part of another science and art sort of collaboration. I've done a few of these, where I'm going to be matched with another scientist and make a piece of art for that exhibition. So I do quite a few of these. I often, in my own personal artwork or at mine, which is still commissions, but it's my illustration work and my artwork, which is different for my courses. I very often work with like science and health related projects, which is quite interesting because it's not my background. I worked in medical malpractice for years, but I am health and science. For some reason, I often work in these sectors with my art. So there we go. You can see I start with just random shapes for the strawberries, and now I'm going to use a darker green for the leaves. Sorry for the noise, it's just me going through the markers, finding the right colors. So, where's everyone from today? Still a lot of people from the US. We always have lots of people from the States joining in, which I think is just amazing. The fact that we are from such different parts of the world. So I'm making really simple shapes. What I quite like about these markers is that you can put one color over another. And of course it works easiest when you have a darker color over a lighter color, but the other way does work. Especially you can see the red shine through a little bit. Oh, from Essex, not far from me. I'm in Cambridgeshire, so yeah, not far from each other at all. I go into Essex quite often because I have a lot of friends living that way, and I always love all the little villages, nature. I think it's a really beautiful county. But I think sometimes Essex is a little bit, how do you say, like not underestimated, but people sort of forget how beautiful it is sometimes. If you're not from the UK, maybe you don't really understand this, but it's a beautiful area full of really lovely nature. So there we go. I'm adding some little dots to the strawberries as well. My mum is visiting me at the moment, and she's staying for 2 weeks, and so that's quite a long time, but sometimes she stays for longer because because my mum doesn't live in the UK, but she's staying over. And I did say to her, I'm going to carry on with my live session. So she's, I don't know, reading a book or doing some knitting or doing something else. But that means I am working a little bit less this week than I normally am. Going to do some fun things as well, out and about. So I think we want some leaves in there. I think I will save a strawberry to a board because I should put it under creative inspiration. Now actually I think it should go under drawing ideas. There we go. So I want some leaves, some strawberry leaves or plants. Let me see what the strawberry leaf looks like. Strawberry plant. I have some in my garden, so I roughly know that the leaves they're quite sort of with an frayed edge. Yeah, see, there we go. So how about this? You see that? I need to move this a little bit. So there we go. So that's a strawberry plant. I'm going to add a few leaves in there as well. And then slowly move to the next section. Shall I use the same color? I think I'm going to use a different color green, something a little bit lighter. I don't know if I can see this well. I'm going to try it. So this is all part of a bit of experimentation as well. So there we go. So this is the leaf. So I'm just making a little zigzag move around the edge, making it a little bit more interesting. So I like this. A bit messy, isn't it? But it's okay. Sometimes you need to try things out a little bit. So there we go. This is our strawberry plant pattern. I quite like it. I did not put any of those flowers in for not really any reason at all. I might just make these leaves a little bit darker. Oh, I used the wrong one, didn't I? Did I? No. I think it's just because it's the second layer of this paint. It shows a little bit more. And then I need to decide what to do for my next page. I really liked the flower that I did a little while ago, so if I quickly go back to that page we can have a look. Should we quickly have a look? So this one. I really liked this sort of flower abstract picture. So maybe I'll do something like that, see if I can come up with some shapes and ideas. So I'll have a little bit look at flower shapes on Pinterest and then just take inspiration from them. But as you can see, I'm using my inspiration very loose. I'm not copying things exactly. So if I zoom out a little bit, there we go. So let's have a look at Pinterest and see what the pictures are that I see there. So I've saved that second picture also to. I've also saved that second picture to my board. So if you look at if you want to find any of those reference pictures back, remember they are on Pinterest, all saved to my board. Minimal flower bouquet. So See, I didn't want something really with lots of flowers. I want something a little bit more minimal. I do like that though. That's not minimal at all, is it? I do like it. I think I'll save that anyway, maybe for later. There we go. Maybe this one with the poppies. I think that is a beautiful picture. So let's use that as inspiration. There we go. I think that is a great inspiration picture for our next vase. So let's pick a color palette first. I tend, in these type of illustrations, I tend to pick a color palette first, maybe 2 or 3 colors that I think go well together, and then stick with these colors. So here I had dark green, this pink color and this blue color. Here I had that same dark green, the pink and a yellow. So I try and sort of stick with a bit of a limited color palette to make things a bit easier for myself. So here it's red, light green and dark green. So try and simplify it a bit, because the more complicated you make it, the more complicated it becomes, of course. So I like maybe a light pink, so a warm sort of orange tone, and then something a little bit different, maybe this blue. As you can see, I have quite a lot of colors here. I've not used all of them yet. Do I like this pink pattern? So I've not used all of them yet. I just picked 3 sort of fairly random colors. The flowers in the photo inspired me for these 2 colors. I think that looks nice. And then this gray. Maybe I'll have a bit of yellow in there as well. So 4 colors. There we go. So these are the colors I'm going to use for this next drawing. Hi Sandy, really lovely to see you. It's okay, you can always join in anytime, and you can always watch the beginning back if you need to. So there we go. I was just about to start the next picture, and I am going to start, so based on what I created here. So let's have another quick look. So a vase with some plants. I'm going to sort of simplify this picture a little bit as well. Shall I have it upright? A little bit more space for flowers. There we go. I think I'm going to start with my lightest color first. So I'm starting with this light yellow. There we go. And these poppies, they have a really nice sort of rounded shape. Oh, this is very light against the white, isn't it? So I think I might have to use this over some other tones, or just for the inside of the flowers. But let's see, there's one here, you cannot really see it. So let's move to a slightly darker color then. Can you see that? Yeah, still very light against that white paper. See. There we go. I don't know about you, but I always find just drawing and sketching and doodling so relaxing. Whenever I do any drawing, it doesn't really matter if it's in an art class or if I draw for myself, but I always feel sort of all the stress ebb away. This is definitely something that I notice in myself. But I know that I'm not the only one. I know lots of other people have this as well. So there we go. Let's do one of these hanging flowers. So there we go. I was thinking of making a video at some point. I think I spoke about this last week, but I was thinking of making a video at some point where I explain all the differences between these different types of markers. And because I know it can be quite complicated. There's alcohol markers, watercolor markers, sort of felt tip markers, like the ones that you used to use when you were a kid. And there's lots of different qualities and ranges in those as well. There's acrylic paint markers. There's so many different types of markers. And I think sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming. What are the different types and what do I need or what do I like to use? So I was thinking of making a video about that. I have lots of different pens and pencils and markers and also crayons and lots of other art materials. I was thinking of doing the same with crayons. One of my community live sessions this month is going to be playing with crayons, and I wasn't sure if that name was good, if people would like the idea of having like a playful time with crayons. It sounds a little bit childish. But I was thinking of going through all the different crayons that I have, like soft pastels, oil pastels, water-soluble crayons, wax crayons, and show the differences, and then let people choose whatever one they want to use based on what they have, and then make like a landscape together. So I quite like these, really simplified shapes. So the thing is, I was going to use this grey for the vase. Do I still want to do that? I think I do. So say the vase is here, a little bit different from in the photo. It's going to be more of a pot. So there we go. And then we can see the stem. So I'm sort of making this up a little bit. So these stems of these flowers. So, like this. So I'm just making it up. Hey Shailen. I really like these markers actually, so I'm just reading the question. Those are kind of markers. I really like them. So the reason I bought these markers, they're just called acrylic marker. I bought these fairly cheap on Amazon, and the reason I bought these is because I love using these Posca pens. But the problem with Posca pens is that they're quite expensive, and I don't draw with markers that often. And I have like a set with lots of different colors, but they are like, I think like £100 for a set is quite easy done. So I decided to buy some different acrylic markers just to get into this again and to start enjoying them. And I think this set was like 14 or 15 quid for a set. So they're really affordable. Yeah, I'm actually quite impressed with them so far. I really like them, and I like the soft felt tip as well. So it is more of an a softer tip on them. All my drawers behind me are filled with art materials. So sometimes I need to stop myself for a moment when I buy new things and actually think, do I need them? How do they fit in with my with the materials I already have, and how often am I going to use them? So, but no, I'm actually quite impressed with these. I don't know how long they will last because I've only had them for a few weeks now, and I've used them a bit in this book, but then that's it. So I don't know how long they will last. And the Posca pens last for absolutely ages. There's a lot of paint in there, I think. So yeah, I can't give you my final review yet, but these are yeah, I think if you just search for acrylic paint markers, then you should be able to find them. I just purchased off Karen water-based markers. Yeah, the Karen markers are really lovely as well. And water-based markers, the lovely thing is that you can change them into paint, right? So you can add water to them and then use them to paint with, in a way. So if yeah, that's also something that you can use them for if you have those, if that's the type of marker that you bought. So there we go. I went to a Creative World Frankfurt earlier this year in January it was, and yeah, there was a lot of Karen markers there to try out, but it was a bit like, I felt a bit like I was a child in a candy shop but not allowed to touch anything. So you could try things out and play with them, but I sort of wanted to take lots of art materials home, and that wasn't really allowed. So there we go. I can hear a big fly buzzing around here, but I can't see it. I think it was outside of my window. So I think I'll finish this one and then we'll pick another reference picture for our last inspiration drawing for today. Should I add in a little bit more of a design on there? I agree. I also really like water-based markers. I love alcohol-based markers because of the sort of smooth layering that you get. So for example, if you draw a portrait, alcohol markers are really great to make an underlaying painting, and then you draw over it and you have this really smooth sort of layer, and then you can use your color pencils to add detail. So it's a really nice way of adding a very even underlayer that you can then draw over. But it does bleed through paper a lot, like, yeah, really quickly. And these, they don't bleed through at all. So I can show you now. So let's say this one is finished. I love these little art material conversations that we have here. See, it doesn't bleed through at all. You can just see it a little bit here where I added a thick layer, but no bleed through whatsoever. And this is very cheap paper. This is very thin. So that's what I like about this, about these acrylic markers. Plus, I like the vibrant colors as well. I use water-based markers mostly for yeah, to combine with my watercolors, to combine with painting. So let's have a look. Yeah, I really love as people are talking to each other in the chat as well. Really makes me happy. So yeah, carry that on. I love all the advice that's been shared. Last week as well, we were talking about paper types and different types of sketchbooks, and now everyone's talking about markers. So I think that's a lot of fun. What should we do for the last one? So we have a bit of fruit, a flower. Here, these are some leaves. Let's find some inspiration. Maybe what shall I do? Let's do some more fruit. Or let's do some leaves. I really like leaf shapes. Let me bring this back. There we go. Yeah, so as you can see, if I zoom out a little bit of my page, I'm sharing my iPad screen with you. I was looking at some different leaf shapes. And I really like these. I think this one looks really nice. So maybe we can use that as an inspiration shape. So the town I live in is very much in like spring mode, and all the trees here have blossom on them, and there's lots of flowers everywhere, and yeah, it makes me very happy. I always get in a really good mood that time of year. So I think I'm going to do a base color on, so sort of to start with. I like this sort of pink tone, and then I'm going to use this, I don't know what color this is, like a pinkish, darker pink tone. And is this too dark together? Maybe these three? What do you reckon? I'm just playing, sometimes I just lay my colors in front of me just to have a look at the color combinations. I like a bit of a warmer tone as well. I think I'm quite happy with this. I also have gold and silver. I've not used my my gold and my silver yet, but I think that might be a bit much for what I'm trying to achieve here. Yeah, let's do this. So I'm going to do an undercolor with this light pink. So I'm going to just do the entire paper. When I started this sketchbook, I started to do, like for example here, do my shapes first and then go around it with the color that I wanted the background to be. But I found that if you do the background first, sometimes it's a bit easier, especially if the background is light. In a darker background, I think it might be a bit different. But for these lighter backgrounds, that works really well. So, I've never tried Artisto, so I'm just saying what Shayla's saying. It's always nice to hear. Yeah, I am. So I'm very happy with these. I can put a link in the description later if you like, an Amazon link. I just need to look them up, which ones they were. But yeah, I'm actually quite happy with them, and they do smaller or larger sets. So again, I don't know how long they will last, but I like the flexible nib. That's something that I miss in the Posca pens a bit sometimes. So, see, it doesn't come through, doesn't go through at all. Yeah, I'll look it up and I'll put it in the description for those who are curious. So, I'm quite lucky because I quite often get sent art materials as well by different brands. So it makes me very happy. I'm planning to do more giveaways sort of in my community, under my community members, because I have more art materials than I can ever finish in a lifetime. But I need to organize that a little bit and also find a way of like picking people who won them. I was going to do like giveaways for people who do one of my classes on Zoom and then share their art sort of on social media and then pick the winners from that. But I need to actually organize it. So there we go. I quite like this color. It's a little bit more yellow than the lid sort of suggests, doesn't it? And there we are back. Yeah, the color is a bit more yellow than the lid suggests, and that's something that I sometimes struggle with a bit with markers specifically. That the color on the outside on the packaging is not always the color on the inside, so that's something to be a little bit aware of. So I do make swatches sometimes, but I'm not really someone who swatches all their art materials. Especially not when you do drawings like this, when I don't really mind it so much if the color is a little bit different from what I expected. But it is something to be aware of. So, there we go. This is how my niece makes a painting. She loves just filling an entire page with color. I find it quite funny. And we're like do you want to use some green instead? Should we add a different color? Like, no, this page is going to be red and that's it. Only one color. Very specific. So this is dry. I'll just wait a few moments and I'm going to use these two to create a bit of a pattern over this in the sort of from the inspiration of these leaves. There we go. One of the things I want to do in the next few weeks is create a new Skillshare class. I have created a few Skillshare classes so far. There's 2 that are live at the moment. And they always pay me out quite well. There's a bit of business inside. But yeah, I have to do very little work on like marketing Skillshare, and they always pay me quite well every month. So I need to do a bit more of that because it's a really nice sort of side income for artists like me. Is anyone here on Skillshare? Do you watch classes there? I think doing Zoom classes with people is always a bit more personal. Actually, I think I might color these in. Doing Zoom classes is always a bit more personal and a bit easier to interact, but there's definitely benefits to watching a Skillshare class. But to be honest, when I watch them myself, I very often don't finish them. So that's my own sort of impatience. I'm like, what are we doing? Okay, I got it. Now I'm going to do it myself. Don't watch the rest of the class. So I'm a little bit impatient that way. So there we go. So when you draw something like this, it's okay if the shapes are a little bit different from the photo. So maybe this one a little bit bigger. I do like this blue on top of the yellow color that I thought was going to be pink. So it's okay, these overlap. There we go. Sometimes you need to do multiple layers to have full coverage. Sometimes you need to layer up your marker twice to really cover the color underneath. But on this color scheme it seems to work quite well. And I think I'll do one here as well, so if that's the main shape. So as I said, this is just inspired on these leaves, not necessarily exactly the same. So pointy. So I'm just concentrating for a moment. There we go, because I'm thinking of this as being the background and then drawing more leaves over it. So I don't mind if this sort of fades away a little bit into each other. I have a bit of a vision. So what else is interesting to share at the moment? I've decided not to go to Bologna this year. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you have the Bologna Children's Book Fair every year. And it's really fun. I have a bit of FOMO about it. So I really like to go, but I just have lots of other things on, and I think I might skip a year and then go next year again. But yeah, if you're interested in children's book illustrations, it's a really fun and interesting fair to go, even if you only go for a day. because there's lots to see and lots of inspiration in different children's books. Almost all children's books publishers from all over the world are there, and it is really fun to see all the different styles in art and the different styles of books. And if you're an artist, it's a really great way of like getting some confirmation that what you're doing is right, that you don't have to draw art in a specific style, but that any style has a representation there and has publishers there who create it. So it's really fun to look around, and there's lots of interesting workshops. But yeah, I decided not to go this year because I had lots of other things I want to do instead. I think I might turn this a little bit, so. But yeah, I definitely feel like I'm missing out a little bit. So, there we go. So on this leaves, I'm going to just do the outlines, I think. So like this. So I need to focus a little bit more on what I'm doing. So I'm doing some business courses at the moment, which is really fun and really interesting to do. So one of the courses that I'm doing is small and mighty. Britain. It's for small businesses. It's a free course. You get mentoring and some training about lots of different things. So I'm really looking forward to that, because when you are a small business like me, you're self-employed, sometimes you lose not your focus, but sometimes it's quite hard to know exactly if you're doing the right thing or if you should change things. Do you need to do more of one thing or less of another? And sometimes you do so many things at once that you don't really know anymore. So having input from someone else who has experience and who can tell you, oh, actually you're doing this right, and do a little bit less of that, or focus on this, or have you thought of that, or like a bit of accountability as well, I think will be really useful. So I'm really looking forward to that. Oh, fantastic, Shayla. Well, make sure you check them out. I've got 2 workshops at the moment on there. One is quite a detailed color pencil workshop, and one is making an imaginary creature in watercolors and mixed media. So 2 very different courses. And the first one I created maybe 5 years ago. So it's quite fun for me to revisit that, and to, if I watch that again, to sort of remember like what a different stage I was in my life and as an artist. And so yeah, I'm thinking of making a new one. So there we go. Slowly carrying on. I quite like this look that I'm creating at the moment. It's quite sort of gentle, isn't it, this color combination? So let me do maybe something similar here. It doesn't have to be so big, but maybe this branch comes from here, sort of in that direction. So there we go. Oh, sorry. And maybe one here. So maybe one here. So let's have a look. What do we think of this? I like the color combination. I think that came out quite well. But as you can see, sometimes the colors, you don't always know what it's going to look like based on the lids of the pens. And sometimes it's good to take a little bit of a risk. But what I do like to do is pick some darker tone and then some lighter color, so that I know that I have something that is sort of my eye catcher, and then some more sort of softer supporting colors, because I find that works quite well for me at the moment. Let me see what everyone's saying. Oh, Patreon classes. Oh, fantastic. I think Patreon, I was sort of thinking of starting a Patreon, but then I already have my community where people can join and be members. And I don't know if I can offer enough value to also do a Patreon with different tiers. And like things like prints or classes or things like that, that are then different from what I'm doing in my community. So for now I've decided to stick with what I'm doing at the moment. But yeah, I think Patreon is fantastic, and it's really lovely to support artists directly that way. I love painting in gouache. I think gouache is not the most useful medium for these live sessions on YouTube, because I'm trying to use mediums that are quite fast and that don't need lots of drying time, or that are a bit more, that I can sort of show in half an hour or quicker, or even like this. Now we've now been drawing for 45 minutes, and we've created 3 like little drawings already. So I'm trying to focus in these sessions on things that are quite quick and loose. But I definitely use gouache in my community, and I have some courses on gouache as well. So one of them is painting birds. So Oh, thank you so much, Helen. I'm a bit of a millipede when it comes to art materials and different styles as well, because I get a bit bored if I only do one thing for a long time. So now recently I've been doing my portraits, like my flower portraits, these for example, and I'm still working on this deer, this one, which I'm thinking of making into a Skillshare class. So I'm filming the whole process, and I'm considering it if I'm happy with the end result. So if I make it into a Skillshare class, it will come with like a downloadable sort of sketch sheet, so people know exactly how to start, and a really step-by-step guide. But I've not quite decided if I'm doing it yet. But sometimes I just film things, so I have the materials ready in case I want to use it. And then I can always record voiceovers later. Yeah, thank you so much. I really love hearing that. So, just moving this out of the way a little bit. So let's see. Shall we do another one? Shall we do one more? So we have 3 pictures now. We've created this one. I feel like maybe I need to finish this a little bit more, but I'm happy. I like the look of it. I think maybe adding just some little, so this is just a spontaneous idea. I thought I needed a little bit more color around it. It's quite possible I ruin it, but it doesn't matter, right? It's just a painting, just a drawing. I think sometimes we can be so worried about what we create needs to be perfect, or needs to, be like a certain quality or good, whatever that might mean, that it becomes a bit scary to experiment. But actually I love experimenting. I like this one. I think this came out really well. It doesn't look at all like the photo, does it? But that's sort of the point. Maybe I'll do a background, so I need at some point a bit darker. And then this was the 3rd one. Should we do one more? Let's find another. Ooh, should we do something with these? That is really nice. Let's zoom out so we can see. You can actually see what I'm talking about. So there we go, and let's save that to my Pinterest as well. So different color combination, maybe a warm, like a bright yellow and green, of course. I think we'll stick with the colors that we see here. I think this one is a bit too green. Maybe this one, light green, light. So, and then brown. I don't know if this yellow is warm enough. Maybe I'll put in a bit of warm yellow as well. There we go. So the light yellow is going to be my background. So I'll start with this. So there we go. I've used this color before. I actually took these markers with me on a walk the other day, and I decided to just do a bit of urban sketching or nature, plein air drawing. It wasn't very urban. I can show you what I've made in a moment. And it worked quite well sort of out and about. So instead of using my watercolors, which I usually take when I go for a walk, I decided that to take some markers instead, and that was quite fun. So I only took a handful of colors. I sort of decided beforehand. I had a little box, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to take as many as fit in the box, and then the rest has to stay at home. So I had to take a limited color palette automatically, and it was a lot of fun to use these out and about. And what I also liked is that they dried quite fast. So I didn't have to wait for my picture to dry before I could walk home. And this is my out and about sketchbook. So this is the picture that I made, sitting somewhere. Oh no, the tree wasn't really pink, so I've sort of played a little bit with colors. But yeah, I love being out and drawing from nature instead of from a photo. So this was the picture that I made. I made this one before, like last week. Yeah, it's a different technique, but I really liked using that in this sketchbook. So this is my out and about sketchbook, which I only use for when I'm not in the house, so to say. So when I'm traveling somewhere. So these tree leaves, I think they're beautiful, aren't they? They're ginkgo leaves, aren't they? So then maybe one here. Maybe one here. I'll do these first, and I might add in a few smaller ones as well. So, there we go. I think that's quite fun. How's everyone feeling today? I hope everyone's well and happy, feeling good. But if you're not, hopefully drawing with me helps lift your spirits a little bit. I quite often get emails from people afterwards where they tell me this, so I do try and respond to everyone. But yeah, just know that I get them and I listen to you, and I appreciate that you're here. Thank you so much for joining in, if that's any of you. So there we go. I know there's also people watching who are not active in the chat, which is also absolutely fine. There's absolutely no obligation to do that. I think we'll do one more here. So there we go. You might have noticed by now that I'm just winging it a little bit when I do these type of drawings. I just look at a picture and then think, well, how am I going to put this to paper? What do I think fits well? How do I want the colors to be sort of mixed up a bit more or really separate? So here, see where the paint is still a bit wet, you can sort of mix it up a bit. There we go. I agree. The tree does look a little bit sort of magical. To be honest, it actually was in reality as well, because it was a really old oak, and there was a sign with it saying like, this oak has been here for 300 years, and that it was one of these sort of ancient oaks in the area, and it was protected, and just knowing that, I think that's very special. 300 years is a long time, isn't it? If you sort of think of history and where we were back then, like not us, but like people. And I know in the big scheme of like how long the earth existed is not so long, but if you think of like for a tree, that's just amazing that it has survived all that time. So it makes you feel a bit, what's the right word? A bit humble thinking of it that way. Yeah, so sitting there and drawing that tree is absolutely wonderful. Yeah, drawing trees is quite hard, isn't it? I love drawing trees, but there's so much detail and so many different. There's a lot of things going on in trees that. All these like different branches and so much detail and different shapes, but sometimes it is quite hard to draw it, so you have to sort of simplify it, but at the same time you want to show all that detail that you can see in a tree. I'm going to add an extra color to this, so I just picked up this pink. Is this the right one that I want? Maybe this one a little bit brighter, and I'm just going to add a few shapes in the background, because I think the background is a bit plain, but I think if I use any of these colors that I've used so far, it is going to be a little bit too, you can't really see it, I think. So I wanted to have in an extra color. That light yellow and the dark yellow are a little bit too similar. So I'm just creating a few random blobs. By the lack of a better words. Love a random blob. So, there we go. I've got a bit of rosy cheeks sort of from all the drawing and the concentration of these exercises. So I am planning to use these materials at least for a few more weeks. So you know what to expect. I've done quite a lot of these ink and wash portraits and animals, but recently I just felt I wanted to do a bit more color. And I think this is a nice material to sort of quite quickly start drawing with. So I'm planning to carry on with this for at least a few more weeks, and then I might revisit it again. I might want to do something else, I don't know yet. it is possible that I change my mind. But so there's the corner. Oh. There we go. Remember, sometimes you need to do 2 layers. Yeah, so that's the plan. I'm going to carry on with this at least for a little bit longer. All very spring-like, isn't it? So let me remove this for a moment. Yeah, so if you enjoy doing this, mark her, know that that's the plan, at least for a few weeks. And then if you have any requests or any ideas, feel free to let me know. Always happy to chat about different materials. And then in my community, we are doing like a travel journal first. I can quickly have a look. On the 11th, we're doing a sketchbook session where we pretend to travel to Copenhagen and we are drawing on locations. It's a bit of a mixed media sketchbook sort of activity, which I'm really looking forward to because that's something that I love doing and I do quite often. Then on, let's have a quick look. What else had I planned? So that was the first one. Then on the 18th, we are going to play with crayons. So I already mentioned that. Yeah, we're going to try different types of crayons. Pastel crayons, oil crayons, water-soluble crayons, and wax crayons. I'm going to show you what all the differences are, and then we're going to make a landscape drawing in our material of choice. So I can help you, sort of guide you through that. I don't use crayons very often on their own. I usually combine them with other materials, so it's going to be a bit interesting for me as well. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Then on the 21st, which is a Sunday, we are going to do a color pencil drawing session. I picked a reference photo for that as well. So that's more of a focus session where we're really focusing on how to use color pencils and on that specific skill. And then on the 25th, I'll just do the last one as well. We are going to do lots of short sketches in a medium of your choice. So we're going to do like lots of 5-minute sketches for like an hour long. So those are the events that I have planned in the community. I'm just quickly saying what everyone's saying. Yeah, this is true, Shayla. I do live in a very historical area. The house I live in is 200 years old. And we have the deeds of all the people who lived here before. And there's really interesting characters in there, which I think is really interesting. What do I mean by crayons? Yeah, so with crayons, we're going to look at, I know there's a little bit of delay, so you might have already heard me say it, but I will say it another time. With crayons, I mean oil crayons, like pastel soft crayons, wax crayons, and water-soluble crayons. And you don't need all of those, but as long as you have one type of crayon that you like to draw with, bring those. But I will show you what the differences are between these different types of crayons. We'll have a little bit of a play with it, and then just to test out and to show what the differences are. And then we're going to draw a landscape where everyone can use the crayon of their choice, and I will still help you. So if anyone has a question about, I don't know how this works or how that works, then it's on Zoom, so it's much easier to ask questions. And we are all going to draw the same reference picture, but everyone in the type of crayon that they have. I don't know which one I will use yet, but I have all these 4 different types, and after the introduction I will check in and see what what everyone has, and then choose my crayon based on what most people are going to use, I think. Okay, that I think was all for today. It's 4 o'clock. We've drawn for an entire hour today, so a long session. Thank you so much for joining in. Remember, you can watch all the old sessions back on YouTube if you want to. Really lovely to see you all, and I hope to see you all next week, or in my community, or in one of my courses. The floral course, if you buy tickets now, you can still join in with a live session on Friday, tomorrow, if you want to. So remember that as well. Okay, bye bye. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.